Good dinner of Shabbos, everybody. Ephraim Schwartz here from the holy city of Carmiel in the holy Eretz Yisrael, wishing you an incredible Chodesh Adar, an incredible Shabbos, and we come to Parsha's Teruma, this week's YouTube video and WhatsApp video and chat and status is sponsored by my dear nephew and niece, Moshe and Shana Zimberg of Lakewood, New Jersey, as a schus for a refuah shalema for Moshe's mother, Sarah Masha Bas Tzipora, for my sister-in-law, Yehudis Penina Bas Chana Malka Tzipora, and my stepsister-in-law, Rivka Rifaela Bas Leah. They should all have a refuah shalema, and you can sponsor these as well. Just send me a WhatsApp a message, and Baruch Hashem, help us all out over here in the month of Adar, the month of Tzedakah. And on that month of Tzedakah, usually this is Parshat Shkalim, but this week we start off with not Parshat Shkalim, but we still have the V'yichuli Truma, bringing a Truma for Hashem. And why? To build the Mishkan, to build a sanctuary, but not just a sanctuary for Hashem, but Rashi tells us in each and every one of us, Shachanti B'socham, that Hashem should dwell within each and every one of us. And, this morning I was going over the Parsha, and I remembered, something I heard from one of my Rebbeim. I don't know if I would call him my Rebbeim. I was merited to be able to learn in Kolal, in the yeshiva of Rabbi Avigdor Miller. Actually, it was Rav Shmuel Miller, his son, but he would give us vadim. I didn't pay attention that much, to be honest. Different views. His voice, I don't know what it was, but Rabbi Avigdor Miller was one of the great speakers, and he had many, many chassidim, and he was rather radical, rather controversial in a lot of the things that he would say. And I'll never forget one of the things he said, because it's probably one of the few things that I actually remember, that struck with me and stuck with me and bothered me and troubled me, and maybe it will as you. And he was involved in Kiruv. He brought made a lot of many people from. And one of the things that he would tell his Balei Tshuva, people that were becoming from, he goes, the first thing that you have to do before anything, before Shabbos, before kosher, before who knows what, put on a black hat. Right? That's the first thing you should do. Put on the black hat. The main thing is you've got the black hat on, and then afterwards you know what type of Jew that you want to be. And then once you know that, then you can go ahead and start doing everything else. But don't go start slowly. Again, I think it's a very radical position. It bothered me. It troubled me. I mean, you see people, they can't even daven straight. They're wearing black hats. Really? Come on. Grow towards that. There should be a step towards that. And it never really sat well with me, to be honest. But that idea and that voice of his came up again when I really think it very much applies to something that it says in this week's Parsha. You could tell me what you think. There's a very interesting Rashi in this week's Parsha, and in fact, let's talk a little bit about the Aron, the building of the Aron, which is it's the organ of the Beis HaMikdash. And it tells us, Asu Aron Asi Shittim, you should make it out of Shittim wood, and it gives you its measurements, and then you should make it gold on the outside and on the inside. Rashi tells us there were 3 boxes, outside gold, inside gold, and the Aron of wood was in the middle. And then you put the beams that would hold the Aron, and then it tells us, V'nasata el ha'aron es ha'edus asher etein elecha. And you should put inside of the Aron the luchos, the covenant, the testimonies that I will give you. Clear? Very good. We've got the Aron, we've got it built, and we know what we're putting inside of it. Good. Then it continues after Sheni, Asisa Kaporis. Then you should make a covering of gold, pure gold on it. And then you make 2 kruvim, the angels, the cherubs on top of it, made out of gold, carved out of gold, and their wings. And then it says, V'nasata esa kaporas al Aron. You should put the covering on the Aron, milmala above it, ve'el ha'aron, and in the covenant, and the ark, titin es ha'edus asher etin lecha. You should put the luchos inside of it. That's strange. I mean, we already know that the luchos are there. It's repeated. Now, Rashi says something even more fascinating because, you read this, okay, it says it once, maybe it's saying it again. Rashi says, Lo yadati lama nechval. Now, when Rashi says, I don't know something, that should wake you up. Strange. Rashi doesn't know. That's always like a challenge. Am I going to get the answer to this one? I mean, Rashi doesn't know it, right? I don't know why it says it twice. I mean, he said it once there, we said it once there. Okay, but Rashi, are you really telling us the truth? Do you really not know? But the truth is, a second later is, it says before, V'yesh lomar, but maybe you could say, well, you do have an answer. So then why are you telling us you don't know? You could ask a question, but it's very strange that Rashi says, I don't know. And he says, it's coming to teach you that when the Aron is without the kaparas, first go ahead and put in the Aron. and then put it in the luchos, and then put the top on top of it. I don't understand Rashi. What would I think otherwise? That you should close the aron and then somehow get the luchos in there? What am I thinking? This is the big answer. The reason why it says it twice is because you might think you have the covering first and then put the luchos in after the covering is in. So you would put it on and then take it off, and it's a strange Rashi. I don't understand. And the truth of the matter is, why does the Torah? Does that really answer why it says it twice? Just tell us straight, right? Put the luchos in and then put the covering on top. Why do you say put the covering, such as a kaporas, and then the aron afterwards? What's going on over here? Let's take the word kaporas and exchange it for the covering for a black hat, or a shtreimel if you're Hasidish and you're watching this, or a kippas ruga, right? And think about it in those terms. Do you put the luchos, do you put the Torah in first? Or do you put the black hat on first? That was the first thought that jumped into me, right? What's more important? What does each one represent, right? Is it the external or is it not? And really, what is the function of this kaporis? Meaning, why is it dividing it into two things? I saw an interesting idea. The idea was that there are two things that are going on over here. There is the Torah, and there is the kaporas, the covering. Do you know what the kaporas is? The Svarim say that the kaporas represents the kisei hakavod, the throne of Hashem. That's where the Shechina, v'no'adati l'chashama. I'm going to go ahead and rest my Shechina on top of that. You know where Hashem rests his Shechina? He rests it on the kisei hakavod, the throne of the glory. The aron, you know what that is? That's like the mountain. That's our Sinai. That's the Torah itself. The ark, and you have angels in between those two things. Think of the aron as this ark of Hashem. And we have a question over here, right? Two different vessels, two different purposes. The aron, that's the Torah. And what's the function of the aron? Which is really the human beings, because it's Hashem residing in all of us. The function of us is we have to have our externals. We have to have gold. We have to be pure outside, pure inside. Wood in the middle, perhaps. Physical, mortal in the middle, right? But that's all the externals. And you've got to have that external. But inside, stupid with Torah. Right? That Torah has to really come from the inside. And without that, you just have externals. There's not going to be any Torah in there. And that's fine. And then you know what? Hashem says there's something else that's going on over here. There's me up here in Shemayim. I want to come down. I want to go ahead and be part of Klal Yisrael. And I want you to go ahead and build it straight out of gold, which is interesting. The aron, which is sort of human, sort of mortal, sort of down here, you've got wood in the middle, and then surround it with gold. That's work to do, to go ahead and to make that, I think, derech eretz, kadma l'Torah, in fact. Zahav, the golden path of the Rambam, the shvil hazahav of the Rambam, is derech eretz. And that's what we have to surround our wood, our adam eitz hasada with. Derech eretz. To me, that's the black hat. Once you have that derech eretz, then you can put in the Torah. You put in the luchos ha'edos inside of that aron. And now we've got an aron, and now we've got a luchos inside of it. We've got a human being, and we've got that derech eretz. But what about Hashem? Is he coming down or not? And why do I have this? Is it all about Hashem? Is it all about the kisei hakavod? If that would be the case, then it would really talk about the kaporos first. It would say, I'm up here in Shemayim, I built me a beautiful gold thing with angels and this and that, and then work on it down there. Hashem says, no. You know why I'm coming? I'm coming down because of you guys. I'm going to bring that golden thing down over here. But you know what? When I come down there, it's not because I needed a resting place. It's because of the Torah that you're putting inside of yourself. It's because of that. So v'nasat as that kaporos, Hashem says, I'm coming down with this kaporos. It's just a mind-blowing thing. Usually we think about, why do we have to learn Torah? We have to learn Torah because we need to go ahead and build a place for Hashem. We have to become the best people for Hashem. And it's really the opposite. Right? And Hashem is saying to us, I'm fine up here. I'm going to come down when you do that work because I love you so much. I want to be with you so much. And because you've got that Torah inside of you. We start off with the aron because that's the most important thing. That's the Torah. That's what we're doing. And then we have that, not a black hat on top of our heads, but we have that golden thing with the angels that Hashem will come down afterwards. So I think, to a certain degree, Rabbi Miller has a point. There is that black hat, but it's not a black hat the way I see it. I think it's the derech eretz. It's the zahav mi bachutz, the zahav mi bifnim. The tocho kevaro that we have in both of us, that's the first thing we do. And then we put the Torah inside. Hashem sees that we've done all of that, and then Hashem will go ahead and tell us something else. You know what? Build me a kaporos. Make my kisei hakavod. Make those angels. Do all of that because I'm coming down because of that Torah. But not because I need to come down, right? Because v'nasata es ha'aron. Because you guys put the aron inside of me first. Rashi was shocked when he learned this. Rashi, he says, Lo yadati, I couldn't believe it. I thought the whole thing really is, it's all about Hashem. It's all about Hashem. It's all about bringing the Shekhinah down. It's not. It's all about the Torah. It's all about making ourselves better. And then Hashem comes. V'yesh lomar, maybe we can say that. Rashi says, Lo yadati, I didn't know, and I think he's showing us the greatest derech eretz possible. He's showing us that zahav tahar, that pure gold on the outside and in the inside. He says, you know where it starts from? When you're that wood, when you're that humble wood in the middle there, and you could say, I don't know something, then you become a kli to accept the Torah. And once you do that, v'yesh lomar, then we can say, the parochas will come down. And the parochas is going to come down because of that Torah. And when that parochas comes down because of that Torah, we've got it all. V'no'adati l'chashama. And I will go ahead and be there together with you, Hashem says. V'dibarti itcha. And I'll speak to you me'al ha'kaporos, from the angels, asher al ha'aron edus, because you made me that special place. The Medrash tells us that Hashem says, I gave you the Torah. Now what? I don't have anything. You took my daughter. It's like the king that had a princess. And the king says, I want to visit. Make me a little house that I can come visit, that I could spend time with my Torah. The Torah is our daughter-in-law. We're making ourselves in that room for the Torah. And then Hashem says, I'm going to come down and join you. What an incredible idea. What an incredible avoda. And we see in this Mishkan. And if we do that, Amir Hashem, one day we will have that Shekhinah coming down once again with us. Thank you for joining us for this minute. Subscribe to my weekly email. Sponsor it as well, or the WhatsApp. Have a fantastic week, a fantastic Chodesh Adar.